Welcome to Tornado Racing League episode 17. As you guys see, we are in a different area. This is the area that's going to be used for the yearly finals. And I'm gonna have you guys get used to this spot, because with the yearly finals coming up, and TRL 2026 coming up as well, that means the end of season 1 of TRL is coming close to an end. But don't worry, season 2 will be coming 2027. I do have music. And it is, if you guys forgot, it is my AudioMac music.
Said I swear I'm fine, but I'm lying instead. Drowning in things I never should have fed. Talk too much, then I should write down. Smiling public fall apart when no one's around. I build myself up just to tear it apart. Like I'm addicted to breaking my heart. I know what I should do, but I never do it. Every time
we have 2 new debuts. Steampunk. And Armor Up. We'll get everyone out. This episode, there are 4 spots on the line. And Nitrate is here to race as well. Gunkster versus Nitrate. Nitrate moves on. Fun Steel versus Megarex. Megarex moves on. Steampunk versus Iron Titan. Steampunk moves on. Ghost Rider versus X-Ray Hot Wheeler. Hot Wheeler moves on. Armor Up versus Demo Derby. That's a tie, I need to redo it. Armor Up versus Demo Derby. Armor Up moves on. X-Ray Motosaurus versus Shark Wreck. Motosaurus moves on. Gravedigger versus Leopard Shark. Leopard Shark moves on. Ramblin' Wrecker
welcome aboard the Johnson family
versus All Fried Up.
So you know we came to play.
Ramblin' Wrecker moves on.
Adults are gonna have a ball. First, we're chilling in the infinity pool. On to massages at Sunset
Bigfoot
Spa.
Firestone
Then gliding into Star Wars Hyperspace Lounge for a toast.
versus Bone Shaker.
Private Eye. That's how we get down. Because Disney Cruise Line is where we
That was a
came to
tie.
play.
Bigfoot versus Bone Shaker. Bone Shaker moves on.
William on the radio again. Tank full, hard gone. One more night on the Heartbreak Highway.
Ghost Rider versus Buns of Steel. Ghost Rider moves on.
Got mud on the tires and smoke in the sky. Mood full of bottles and a reason why she left Friday
Ghost Rider
night in a
back.
Chevrolet Blur. Now every back road sign
Those
just
guys
reminds me
are
of her.
out.
Windows down, letting cold wind scream, trying to outrun every damn memory. But the moon keeps hanging over county
Night
lines
Raid
like it knows what's
versus
running through
Megarex.
my mind. Every mile marker hits like a song. Every exit sign says she's gone, and this old truck keeps dragging me where broken hearts are meant to be. Welcome to the William Heartbreak Highway, where the
Megarex
drinks hit
moves on.
hard and the nights don't change. Radio crying while the white lines fly, trying not to lose my damn mind. Yeah, the tides keep
Hot
rolling,
Wheeler
but I still ain't free.
versus
She took half of
Steampunk.
this old boy with me. Gaslight glowing while the tears run dry on the William
Steampunk moves on.
Heartbreak Highway.
Armor Up versus Motosaurus.
Stopped at a station round 2 a.m. Bought cheap gas and cigarettes.
Motosaurus moves on.
Old man there said, son, you'll heal, but heartbreak ain't something tires can kill. So I burned through towns that forgot my name.
Leopard Shark
running full
versus
speed
Rambling
from the
Wrecker.
hurricane. But every song coming through those speakers,
Leopard Shark moves
their
on.
blue eyes hit a little deeper.
Rambling Wrecker versus
Mile marker hits like a song.
Bone Shaker.
Every exit sign says she's gone, and this
Bone
old
Shaker
truck
moves on.
keeps dragging me where broken hearts are meant to be. Welcome to the William Heartbreak Highway, where the drinks
Megarex
hit hard and the nights
versus
don't
Steampunk.
change. Radio crying while the white lines fly. Trying not to
Steampunk moves
lose
on.
my damn mind. Yeah, the tides keep rolling, but I still ain't free. She took half of this
Leopard
old
Shark
boy with me.
versus Motosaurus. Motosaurus moves on. Bone Shaker going to the finals already. Well, the final race. Motosaurus versus Steampunk. Steampunk moves on. Means Steampunk versus Bone Shaker. Tie. Steampunk versus Bone Shaker. Steampunk is the first truck going into the finals, the yearly finals. Buns of Steel versus All Fried Up. Buns of Steel moves on. Bigfoot versus Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider moves on.
Train tracks humming in the midnight.
Gravedigger versus Shark Wreck. Shark Wreck moves on. Iron Titan versus Demo Derby. Iron Titan moves on. Gangster versus
No crowd, no
Nitrade.
noise, no neon signs, just your heartbeat
Nitrade moves on.
up with mine. And the stars look painted on the
Hot
night,
Wheeler
like heaven
versus
stopped to watch us shine.
Armor Up.
Under that romantic sky over rails, we were
Hot
young
Wheeler
and
moves
wild
on.
as the night wind sails, moonlight dancing on your face so slow, like a country song
Ramblin'
I'll
Wrecker
never let
versus
go.
Megarex.
Train wheels singing while the world stood still, cold night air giving both of us chills.
Ramblin' Wrecker moves on.
Then baby it was that romantic sky above us.
Leopard Shark versus Motosaurus.
You drew
Motosaurus
hearts in
moves
the
on.
dust my truck. Said, "Don't leave me
Leopard
lonely
Shark
when life
versus
gets rough."
Bone Shaker.
Pulled you close to me like
Leopard
the
Shark
tracks
moves on.
pulled that old train free. Every mile had a story to tell.
Buns of
Every
Steel
kiss hit harder than hell.
versus
And somewhere out where the rails
Ghost
disappeared,
Rider.
I knew I found what people fear losing here.
Ghost Rider moves on.
And the stars look painted on the night like heaven
Shark Wreck
stopped to
versus
watch us
Iron Titan.
shine. Under that romantic
Shark Wreck moves on.
rails, we were young and wild as the night wind sails.
Nitrade versus Hot Wheeler.
So slow, like a country song I'll never let go.
Nitrade moves on.
Train wheels singing while the world stood still. Cold night air giving both of us chills. If forever's real, then baby,
Motosaurus versus
it was
Ramblin'
that
Wrecker.
romantic sky above.
Motosaurus moves on. Leopard Shark versus Ramblin' Wrecker. Leopard Shark moves on.
One day those tracks may take us far apart, but tonight they're running straight through my
Ghost Rider
heart.
versus Shark Wreck. Shark Wreck moves on. Nitrade versus Motosaurus. Motosaurus moves on. Wait, hold on. Leopard Shark versus Nitrade. Tie. Leopard Shark versus Nitrade. Leopard Shark moves on.
Just you, me.
Shark Wreck
Railroad lights fading
versus
to the dark.
Motosaurus. Motosaurus moves on. Motosaurus versus Leopard Shark. Motosaurus is the second truck going into the yearly finals, taking the second.
Something about
Fuck.
small town nights makes you believe again.
13th spot is Steampunk, 14th is Motosaurus.
Sparks flying past midnight late. Crickets singing by the riverside.
Armor
And a
Up
full moon hanging high
versus All Fried Up.
Been through hell these past few years. Broken dreams.
All Fried Up
too
moves
many
on.
beers. But out here where the cornfields glow, feels like healing moving slow. Every porch slide down these roads feels like somebody saying don't let go. Under these country lights, new hope.
Bigfoot versus Megarex.
Heartache broke. Maybe there's more than pain and smoke waiting down
Bigfoot
these
moves on.
roads. Windows down with the radio low. Cool night breeze and a soul reborn. Every night feels like starting over. Under country lights, new hope.
Gravedigger versus Bone Shaker. Bone Shaker moves on.
Old folks dancing like they still had time. Church bells ringing through the air like God himself was standing there. And for the first time in a while,
Demo Derby versus Buns of Steel.
Maybe scars don't disappear, but they
Demo
fade
Derby moves on.
out here. Every porch light down these roads feels like somebody saying don't let go. Under these
Iron Titan versus Gangster.
maybe this old heart ain't broke.
Iron Titan moves on.
Rain and smoke waiting down these back roads. Windows down with the radio low. Cool night breeze and a soul reborn. Yeah, tonight
Hot Wheeler versus Ramblin' Wrecker.
under country lights and new
Hot Wheeler moves on. Ghost Rider versus Nitrade. Ghost Rider moves on. Leopard Shark versus Shark Wreck. The little pop wheelie on Leopard Shark. Leopard Shark moves on. Off Right Up versus Bigfoot. Off Right Up moves on.
Feels like the world turned gold under country lights and new hope.
Bone Shaker versus Hot Wheel. Fuck.
Small town skies and second chances. That's all I need.
Versus Demo Derby. Demo Derby moves on. Iron Titan versus Hot Wheeler. Hot Wheeler moves on.
Some wounds don't close overnight.
Ghost Rider versus Leopard Shark. Leopard Shark moves on.
There's an old house sitting past street.
Off Right Up
Feeling off roof starting to leak.
versus Demo Derby.
Reminds me of who I've been. Barely
This is
holding
Ty.
it together again.
Off Right Up versus
Got
Demo
scars
Derby.
buried deep inside.
Demo
Places
Derby
seem
moves
to
on.
still hide, but out here with the wind and trees, I can finally start to breathe. Every crack road, every worn out part.
Hot Wheeler versus Leopard Shark.
In a hollow heart, I'm finding light where the dark things
Hot Wheeler moves on.
learning how to live with a broken heart, piece by piece, mile by mile. Haven't felt this peace in a while.
Demo Derby gets spot 15 in the early finals.
Tonight, but it don't own me like it used to inside. There's a slow new rhythm in these old scars, healing in a hollow heart.
Armor Up versus Megarex. Armor Up moves on.
I used to run when the silence came, blame myself for every flame.
Gravedigger
Now I sit underneath these stars,
versus Buns of
let the
Steel.
night be who we are.
Buns of
No
Steel moves
big
on.
miracle, no grand escape, just small town roads and amazing grace. And every sunrise
Gangster
through the trees,
versus Ramblin' Wrecker.
mercy finding me. Every cracked road, every worn
Ramblin'
out
Wrecker moves on.
feels like healing in a hollow heart. I'm finding light where the dark things start.
Nitrade versus Shark Wreck.
Broken heart, piece by piece, mile by mile. Haven't felt
Shark Wreck
this
moves
peace
on.
in a while. Yeah, the pain still burns sometimes at night, but it don't own me like it
Bigfoot
used to inside. There's a slow new rhythm in
versus
these old scars.
Bone Shaker. Bone Shaker moves on. Iron Titan versus Ghost Rider.
I'll never be who I was before, but maybe that ain't what healing's for. Maybe
There's a tie.
into someone
Iron Titan versus Ghost Rider. Iron Titan moves on.
where the dark things start, turning old wounds into works of art.
3 debuts will be episode 18.
Mile by mile, finally
All fried up and Leopard Shark.
still falls, but I stand tall.
Leopard Shark moves on.
Don't scare me at all, 'cause hope can grow in the deepest dark, healing in a hollow heart.
Armor Up versus Buns of Steel. Armor Up moves on.
Just feel
Shark Wreck versus Ramblin' Wrecker. Shark Wreck moves on.
Chip Neiman wasn't a backbencher when this happened. He was Speaker of the Wyoming House. The most
Iron
powerful
Titan
seat in
versus
the chamber.
Bone
The
Shaker.
Speaker's job is to set the tone,
Bone Shaker
enforce
moves
the
on.
rules, and protect the integrity of the institution. So, when an activist handed out campaign checks to lawmakers at the Capitol,
Armor
and
Up
Neiman
versus
took
Shark
one
Wreck.
himself, that was on his watch. When the
Armor
House
Up
had to
moves
rewrite
on.
the rules after the fact, that was his
Will the
to own.
second rookie
Now he wants
debut
all
get
the
a
authority
spot,
and
get the last
respect
spot
that come with the
in the
title,
yearly, well no, not the
but
last
none of
spot, but the last spot in
accountability.
this episode
That's not
for the yearly
leadership.
finals.
That's a press release.
Let's find out.
Wyoming deserves a speaker who owns
Bone
the
Shaker
mess.
versus Leopard
Instead of
Shark.
hoping it quietly goes away. Call
Leopard
Speaker
Shark moves
Chip
on.
Neiman at 307-290-0366. Paid for
Here to
by
claim the
Freeport
last
Alliance.
spot for today's episode. Armor Up versus Leopard Shark. Best 3 out of 3. So far, Leopard Shark's got one.
Still fighting, even when nobody.
That's 2 for Leopard Shark.
Raining hard on the windshield glass. Another long night trying not to crash. World keeps pulling at my tires, boss.
And Leopard Shark gets the 16th spot in the yearly
Got
finals.
scars that never fully heal. Got pain I never let reveal. But I've come too damn far to quit. And
Now I
ain't
could
backing down from this.
go for the last 5 spots. Fuck it. We're doing it. Then after that, I'll post just shorts. Gravedigger versus Megarex. Megarex moves on. Nitroid versus Gangster. Nitroid moves on.
Proves there's still some fight alive. I've lost friends, dreams, and parts of me. Still searching for who
Bigfoot
I'm meant to be, but somewhere out
versus Ghost Rider.
I found strength inside these scars.
Ghost Rider moves on.
Dark gets loud when the midnight comes, but deep inside I still hear the drums.
Hot Wheeler versus All Fried Up.
I won't give in.
All Fried Up moves on.
Let the darkness steal my light. Even when the road gets rough and breathing feels like giving up. Yeah, these
Buns of Steel versus Ramblin' Wrecker.
carry all this hurt.
Ramblin' Wrecker moves on.
Fire in my chest still burns bright, and I won't give in tonight.
Shark Wreck versus Iron Titan. Shark Wreck moves on.
Maybe tomorrow still hurts like hell. Maybe I'm broken more than I can tell. But if my heart still beats this strong, then maybe
Armor Up versus Bone Shaker. Armor Up moves on. Mega X versus Nitrade. Nitrade moves on. Ghost Rider versus All Fried Up. Ghost Rider moves on.
Still here. Still fighting.
Ramblin' Wrecker versus Shark Wreck. Shark Wreck moves on. Nitrade versus Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider moves on.
Sunrise breaking through the pines. Coffee steaming while your hands in mine.
Shark Wreck versus Armor Up.
Just open roads and on
Shark Wreck moves on.
We've both been hurt, we've both been burned. Had nights where love felt hard to learn. But somewhere through
Ghost Rider
the smoke and scars,
versus Shark Wreck.
found out who we really are.
Ghost Rider
Shadows hanging
gets the 17th spot in the finals.
keep moving on with honest hearts. Brighter dawn, we can carry each other through the storm.
17th, I meant.
No more
I think.
hiding what we feel inside. No more lonely, sleepless nights.
13, 14, 15. 16. The 16th spot is taken by him.
Road gets hard, but truth shines brighter in the dark.
Gangster versus
And love feels
Gravedigger.
stronger on.
Gangster moves on.
Honest hearts and brighter dawn. Front porch swinging an old guitar.
Hot Wheeler
Counting every blessing where we
versus Bigfoot.
are. Your laughter through my worried mind.
Bigfoot moves on.
Headlights through the fog at night. And every little thing you do makes this broken
Buns of Steel
world feel new. Turns
versus
old
Iron
pain
Titan.
into memory. Gives this soul some
Buns of
peace.
Steel moves on.
No more shadows hanging on when honest hearts keep moving on with honest
Mega Rex
hearts.
versus
Brighter
Bone Shaker.
we can carry each other through the
Mega Rex moves on.
No more hiding what we
We're going
feel
for
inside.
18.
No more
The spot number 18. And then 19 and 20 will be in episode 18.
the road gets hard.
All Fred Up versus Ramblin' Wrecker.
Shines brighter in the dark.
Ramblin' Wrecker moves on.
And love feels stronger holding on with honest hearts and bright
Armor Up
dawn.
versus Nitrade.
Maybe forever starts this
Nitrade moves on.
Two souls choosing love each day. No perfect road, no flawless start.
Gangster versus Bigfoot.
Love and honest hearts.
Gangster moves on.
Honest hearts, brighter dawn will keep singing when the night
Buns of
feels
Steel
long. Hand in hand
versus
through the pouring rain.
Mega Rex.
Hope again.
Mega Rex moves on.
Still shine when hope feels gone and heaven lies in
Ramblin' Wrecker
belong.
versus Nitrade.
So let the whole world
Nitrade moves on.
We got honest hearts and bright
Gangster versus Mega Rex. Gangster moves on. Gangster versus Nitrade for spot 17. Nitrade moves on and gets spot 17. And last spot for this video, spot 18. Gravedigger versus Hot Wheeler.
Some people break in the storm.
Gravedigger moves on.
Some people learn how to dance.
Bone Shaker
Clouds roll down
versus
on Friday night.
Iron Titan.
Old small town drowned in neon lights.
Iron
Everybody
Titan moves
ran
on.
from the pouring sky, but you just laughed, standing by my side. Boots in the mud, hands in the air.
Armor Up
Lightning flashing through your
versus
hair.
All Fried Up.
For a second, all my pain fell washed away.
Armor Up moves on.
You got a soul that don't hold chains, a heart that floats above the pain.
Bigfoot
Yeah, you're lighter than rain,
versus Shark Wreck.
floating through the hurt and the heartbreak.
Shark Wreck moves on.
Drifting out a truck window, where you go. Heaven falls,
Ramblin' Wrecker
and when my
versus Buns of Steel.
grace shines through like a brand new day.
Ramblin' Wrecker moves on.
Carry me through the pain. Yeah, William's lighter than rain.
Gangster versus Megarex. Megarex moves on.
And late night drives, keeping broken dreams alive. You lean your head against
Gravedigger
my chest and maybe
versus Iron Titan.
I'll feel like rest. No
Iron
diamonds,
Titan
no
with the
fancy
wheelie,
things.
but fails.
Just your voice and the crickets
Gravedigger
sing.
moves on.
Somehow that was all I needed to believe my heart could beat again. You got a soul that don't hold chains, a heart that floats above the pain. Yeah, you're lighter than rain.
Armor Up versus Shark Wreck.
Heartbreak, like a song
Armor Up moves on.
truck window, where you go. Heaven follows.
Ramblin' Wrecker versus Megarex. Megarex moves on.
Girl, you carry me through the pain. Yeah, William's lighter than rain. Storm clouds come and storm clouds go. But your line of
Fuck.
love still glows
Sorry.
like headlights cutting through the dark.
Armor Up versus
Worn out
Gravedigger.
Yeah, you're lighter than
Armor Up moves on.
like freedom running through my veins. Every laugh, every touch,
Armor Up
every smile
versus
makes this
Megarex.
hard road feel worthwhile. And if the sky
Yes.
falls down someday, I'll still be standing in the rain, holding on to love that changed everything. Yeah, William's lighter than rain.
You guys can't see this. Well, you can, but
Barefoot in the storm, smiling like the thunder was made for us.
see, Armor Up moves on because he's farther. That was spot 18. I'll see you all on episode 18. And then the yearly finals at night. Thanks for tuning in. Peace out.